Well, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to focus on the face of these flies, which is the most important aspect of these flies, and it's the eyeballs and the legs and the tentacles and the things that are happening out front on the fly. And what I'm going to start with is this frame that we've designed, and the reason for this frame is because we want to get the free flowing kind of movements, the legs and all that other stuff out front where it can't tangle. In other words, if you look at this mantis shrimp, you don't want this while you're in the boat. You won't want to constantly be looking at your fly to make sure that that's all cleared up. And sometimes that won't clear up, no matter what you do to it. You don't want to present a fly like that because the bonefish is going to get a little bit, suspicious. So the first thing I'm going to start with is I'm going to use this craft fur. And I like this craft fur because it's select craft fur. It's very feathery. It's got a lot of movement to it. The tides are moving in and out. You're always fishing tidal stuff. And there's always slight currents here and there as you're fishing on these flats. And if you listen to your guide as he's talking to you, he's instructing you when a fish is pursuing this thing. He's always telling you strip, stop, strip, stop. And, probably 75% of the time that fish is going to pick up on the stop. And the reason he does that is because the shrimp is going to move away from him while he's pursuing it. And at one point, the shrimp can't outrun a bonefish. So, as you've seen, if anybody's tried to strip and strip and strip, the bonefish will keep coming as the fly keep coming. They'll come right to the boat, or it'll come right to your feet. So, you've got to stop. And at one point, when you stop, that's where the fish really quivers and lights up and grabs that fly. So that shrimp will try to hide. He'll run a little bit, but he'll try to hide. He'll try to burrow in. And on that stop is really where where that fish will take. And what I'm doing here is a lot of guys like to use egg yarn for the hot spot for the egg sac. I prefer like a dubbing, like an SLF. I like the different colors in it. I also like movement. I always want to see movement in these flies on a dead stop. So I'm going to tie that in. I like to tie with mono. It's strong. You can really wang down on it, but it's also clear and it shows colors through it. So that's why I use it.
Is that the fine Danville?
Yeah, that's the fine. The very fine is a little bit too light. So I use the fine, the very fine, yeah. The very fine is a little too light, so I use the fine.
And real quick, before you explain what you're doing with the eyeballs there, what type of pin is that that you used to attach to the shank there?
It's basically a straight pin. You can buy them in a pharmacy, in the supermarket, wherever it may be. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut it off at either side. You're going to score it. I'll take a pair of pliers and I'm going to score it real good before I tie it on. You see? And this will give me slots, and the thread will grab it.
It won't slide off
And
on
it
you.
won't slide off, and also the material won't roll on you. So, got one eye on there.
Right, and that's what, 40-pound mono melted with.
You know what? You have to really experiment with it. This could be 40, it could be 60, it could be different sizes. You got to kind of experiment and find which one. When you light it up, you want to see it ball up real nice. Some will jump to the side, some will just ball right up for you, and that's the one that you want. And then you can put it on the spinner.
Right.
You hit it with a magic marker, you dip it in 5-minute epoxy, put it on the spinner, and it'll naturally roll itself.
Knock out a bunch from one shot.
Exactly. So what I do is I don't like to tie them in flat. I like to tie them in with a slight angle to them. This way they're prominent. You see how that stands out. So what I'll do is I'll just turn it, hit it with a lighter. It gives it that angle. That's what I want.
So most of the bonefish flies you fish, you pretty much start off with this face.
The
The shrimp patterns, anyway.
Yes, the shrimp patterns that I'm fishing now. There's a lot of flies that work great down there. All your basic gotchas, your Charlies, your Petersons, your Manus shrimp patterns. They all work very well down there. And I've been fishing down there for many years, and I kind of narrowed it down to the point where, especially in Andros, in the middle and south bite, where we'll be fishing, these flies in these bigger sizes really do the trick. These fish seem to really light up on them. Now, I got those eyes kind of where I want them. I'm going to turn this around real quick. And this is important. Tie that mono right down to here before the bead chains. I'm using bead chain because I want something light.
This is more of a shallow water fly.
This is skinny water fly, and I'm using the very light colors because sometimes there's these very white sandy bottoms, and you guys all know them when you see them. And you got to match the fly to the bottom. You know, a dark shrimp on a light bottom just is not natural. A bonefish knows the difference. He's not used to seeing something dark on a white bottom. So in this case, I'm tying a very light white fly just for that. So I've got that. This is nice and feathery. It's gonna move in the current. I like this. These rubber legs that I'm going to add right now. I like these very much. They're a what they call an orange black flake. But you see, it has a pink cast to it, which is really nice. And I'm not big on pink, but I do like the way this it's clear. You can see through it. It's translucent, perfect for a white bottom. I'm going to tie this down like this. I'm going to leave that much of it. Again, add these. You're always grooming. You're always you know, putting things in the place where they belong. You know, as you tie. I'm doing this very loosely because I want them to lay flat. And then again, come in here, doing this. I want to trim these to the same length as the other side. And then again, I'm going to turn them around, and I like this Wriggle vise to do this because it makes it quick and easy to do it. I'm going to tie it all the way down, and this is another reason for the mono, because you can see through it.
Now, before you move into the rest of the fly, do you usually dub that pin
How so?
where the face of the fly is, ahead of the shank there?
You mean dubbing here?
Yeah, or do you leave that with the mono and the materials
There's two different
exposed?
ways you can do it. You can dub the entire body. You can dub just this top section here. It's entirely up to you. Either one works very well. At this stage of the game, I'd like to add some peccary. I want to add a couple of antennae. And the best way to do that is actually to cut them to length. If you have them too long, it's going to be difficult to do. So find two that are the right size. I'm going to add this guy here. And he just did me a favor by falling in the exact position that I want him. Not too much trouble. Get another same width, size. He's a little long. If you try to tie them too long, then they get down into here and they'll just jump around and not stay in the position that you want. So measure. Get it where you want it.
Are those coming inside of those eyeballs
Yeah,
or
so I'm
underneath?
inside, and they'll
Go over.
bend just right for me. You see how I've got that right bend, and they're up prominent where I want them. This is what the bonefish is looking at as it pulls away from him. Very important. Once you get it where you want it, you can use hardhead, loon. I like it very much. Here's our fishing glue that we sell at the shop, which is a C&A type glue, like a crazy glue. Once you hit it with that, everything's locked in. It's going to stay right where you want it. Basically, that's the face. And all this series of flies that I'm tying here and that I use down there are all based pretty much on the face. You see him?
Very
That's
good.
what pulling away from a bonefish turns them on. So, I'd wait for that glue to dry and then move on to the next part of the fly.